ton.
I think it feels like there's far less though, even at this stage of
New
time
Zealand
of the year. Yeah.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing today? Welcome to another one of our awesome live session where we're going to tell you everything about traveling in New Zealand. Actually, we're going to answer all your questions.
That's right. So every single Sunday at this time, 8 a.m. New Zealand time, we do a live Q&A session about everything to do with traveling in New Zealand. And by the way, if this is the first time that we're meeting, this is Robin and I'm Laura, and we run the travel guide, BackpackerGuide.NZ, which is basically all about traveling in New Zealand. So so throughout the week, we gather questions that you guys have been sending us through our different social media channels. So for reference, that is on Facebook, which is just Backpacker Guide NZ, on Instagram at Backpacker Guide NZ, on Twitter at BPK at BPK Guide.
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's BPK Guide.
And also right here on YouTube, if you just put your question in any of our videos in the comments and we will add them to our pool of questions to answer in our live Q&A sesh. But the best way to get your questions answered is by putting them in the live chat right now. So just as a reminder of the times we're usually here doing this live Q&A session.
I can hold that for you if you want.
So it's 8 a.m. New Zealand time on a Sunday, but around the world that is on a Saturday in the US at 2 p.m. EST or 11 a.m. PST. In Europe, that is around in UK and France, that's around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. depends on it. Have they done the daylight savings time yet?
It's 7 or 8. You can do your research, guys.
Yeah, just Google it. And finally, in India, that's on a Sunday at 12:30 a.m. So that's pretty early, but some of you guys do wake up that early for this.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Really nice to have you guys on board. We're really happy to know that you guys are waking up early
to join us.
Yeah, to join us. That's really cool. All right. So good morning, Stoskin. Good morning, Daryl. Good morning, Y2J. Nice to have you guys on board. We just received some questions actually by message on Facebook right now. So we're going to go through the first questions and then we're going to start taking some questions from the live chat.
Awesome.
All right. So the first question that we got today is from Hannah M on YouTube. And she says, thank you for the tips. Would you be able to give some advice on the best job agencies for work in Auckland and Wellington for people on working holiday visas? Thank you so much. All right, so job agencies are very popular in New Zealand. They're a very good way to get a job, just because basically they do most of the works for you. So there are obviously some pros and some cons about using travel agencies, and those are.
Yeah. So the pros of using a job agency, or they have loads of different names. I think other people might call them temp agencies or work agencies, something like that. So a pro to using a job agency is that, first of all, it's free to use. You don't actually have to pay for their service. It's actually the people trying to find employees that are paying for the service. So for people like working holiday makers trying to get a job, they actually don't have to pay anything, which is really awesome. And another really awesome thing about job agencies is that they actually have access to a lot of jobs that otherwise you wouldn't have access to. You wouldn't be able to find these jobs online, for instance. I mean, or otherwise you would have to go into each employer's place and like show up in person, which is a bit time consuming. So
you bet.
Yeah, so that's another pro. And yeah, obviously they do all that work of finding the job for you. There's no trying to, like I said, search online, go around into like shops or like whatever job and show up face to face trying to find a job. And also job agencies do give you some tips. So they will go over your CV. They might give you a few tips on maybe improving it, or some tips for a job interview, for instance. So there are quite a few pros. But on top of that, there obviously with everything in life, there are a few cons. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so obviously the first cons is that basically you need to it's not really a con, but you have to set your expectations right. They're not going to instantly find you a job. Actually, there are some that will, in selected areas of New Zealand, like, Christchurch, for example, which needs a lot of workers constantly, and top agencies always kind of find jobs for people really easily there. But yeah, so you need to know that, there are people that have a lot of job applicants and selected amount of job available. So, don't think that you're going to sign up with the job agency and straight away you're going to get a job. So that's the first kind of con. It's not really a con, but it's just set your expectations right. Now, the second con is that they usually focus very, very hard on matching your job to your CV. It's very much a pencil pusher kind of world. If you don't tick the right boxes, you're not getting the job. Even if you're flexible, you learn really fast, you want to try something new, it's not necessarily the right thing. It's not necessarily going to work. That said, for entry-level jobs, there is usually much more flexibility. You have some job agency, for example, Kelly Services, which is an amazing job agency for people that are looking for some picking or kind of anything to do with fruit factory kind of jobs. They will place you really quickly, and your CV doesn't really matter that way. So make sure to check out those guys at Kelly Services. So yes, that's the first. That's the first real con. Is usually it's very much like you're gonna get a job which is matching to your CV. Now the next con and the last con that I could come up with for using recruitment agencies will be the fact that the interviews are usually very much last minute. They usually call you at the last minute to say, hey, we have an interview for you, and literally that's gonna be like 2 hours before the interview quite often. So you've kind of have to have the right flexibility and be able to make your way toward the interview spot on time. So if you're in main cities like Wellington, Auckland, Christchurch, you can definitely hop on the bus and you'll be there in a couple of hours. That's no problem at all. But if you're in more remote areas and yeah, you don't have your own transport, that may be a little bit harder. So just think about recruitment agencies as you're going to have to be flexible for them, because that's also the thing. If you miss interviews or if you say, oh, no, I'm not interested in that job, usually you go back at the bottom of the pile. So you kind of have to take what they give you. So that's the last con that I want to come up with. All right. Now, for using recruitment agencies, it's pretty easy. The first thing, one of the things you can do is to sign up with them online.
Yep, sure. So a lot of these recruitment agencies around New Zealand do have obviously websites, and that's a really easy online setup process. Usually you need to, do a little profile about yourself, upload your CV, which is super important. And you will need to have all those sort of job paperwork that you'll need in New Zealand in order to get a job. For instance, I'm thinking about the IRD number, which is like an individual tax number that everyone gets in New Zealand. So if you haven't thought about that, you need to get one if you want to work in New Zealand. And also you'll need your New Zealand bank account details. So obviously you can actually get paid, because when obviously you are doing job interviews and people want to know that you do have a New Zealand bank account, because they're not going to pay you to your overseas bank account. That's just not happening. So they're the main things you'll need in order to sign up to a recruitment agency. But as well as online, you can sign up by actually going into the offices of the recruitment agencies, which there's quite a lot of, especially in the cities of New Zealand. So Christchurch, Auckland and Wellington especially. I think Hamilton perhaps as well. So yeah, and that's especially another thing to note about recruitment agencies is that basically they're best used in the cities. If you're in the small towns around New Zealand trying to find a job, then they're not going to be much use to you there. I did have another point, but I can't remember what it was.
All right. So did you mention about how to sign up when you go in the branch?
You just go in.
Yeah, exactly.
With all the information that you're going to, like I just said, just like all the information that you're going to need, like your New Zealand bank account, your New Zealand CV. Make sure it is like a New Zealand catered CV and not just a copy and paste of the one that you used to use back home, because obviously in New Zealand things are a little bit different. CV styles are usually a bit different. Like it is all over the world. They don't really want to see something that might be popular in the US CV style wise might not go down so well over in New Zealand. So if you go onto BackpackerGuide.NZ, we do have a whole section on BackpackerGuide.NZ about getting a job, including how to make a New Zealand CV. So we'll make sure we link to that article in the description when we do the rebroadcast of this video. Cool.
Now we're going to give you a list of recruitment agencies that are pretty popular here in New Zealand, especially for travelers. So just know that this list is also going to be a link to in our article below. So always check the article dump in the description below, where we're going to have an article that lists all the recruitment agencies. We're also going to put a couple of links for you guys. So trade staff. I'm really good, especially in the South Island and in like the Hawke's Bay area. Kelly Services, Helping Hands, SSCO, Queen Staff Recruiters, Personal Placement, AWF, Alpha Recruitment, Provido, Salt, and Friends Recruitment. Those are all the different kind of recruitment agencies that we could think of that may be really helpful to you guys when looking for a job. Now, before we wrap it up, also, is there anything?
I was just going to say, if you guys didn't catch all those names, then we will be linking up to an article, basically how recruitment agents work. We'll put that into the description when we do the rebroadcast of this video. And within the article is a list of all the major recruitment agencies that we recommend.
Cool. So now then when you work with through a recruitment agency, it works a little bit different than when you're actually working with an employer, right? Because the employer doesn't pay you directly. What happens is that the employer will pay the recruitment agencies, and then the recruitment agencies will pay you. So the recruitment agency will handle all the paperwork. They will handle your contract. They will handle your payments, and they will handle any problem that you may have with working, like anything to do with your work. So you are an employee of that said company, yes, but you are basically hired by the recruitment agency. So you've got to be aware of that. The payments, it may take a little bit longer, but just make sure that when you are in front of the recruitment agent and they kind of go through the whole process with you, you may want to make sure that you ask all your questions so you understand how that works. But that's pretty much it. That's everything that we have for you about recruitment agency. I hope it was really helpful to you, Hannah. You're going to have a blast in New Zealand and you'll find a job really easily. People on the working holiday visa are always in high demand here.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. It will be a breeze.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go back to the live chat. So I'm just going to rewind a little bit up. So Danielle is asking a question about Christchurch. It's obviously the elephant in the room, and we probably will address that a little bit later. We just really want to make a point to keep business as usual here for a little wee while, but we will definitely address the Christchurch incident in this video a little bit later on today. Y2J is asking questions about secret stuff, so please stop asking about that. Y2J, it is secret for right now. It's not going to happen until quite a lot of months, so keep it secret. Anuj is the guy that went on a honeymoon. So Anuj was coming here almost every single week prior to his honeymoon, traveling around New Zealand, and he actually just came back and said it was awesome. And you know what Anuj did? He actually sent us some picture of him during his honeymoon on Facebook. We love that. Yeah. So if you guys want to send us some pictures of you guys traveling by message, just tell us that you're having fun. He didn't send us like a million messages or anything, just a picture of them about to go. I think that was on the shot over net. Yeah. And just saying that having a blast. We just like to have one quick message and one quick picture telling us that, we're helpful. So thank you very much for that, Anush. That was actually really cool. Novel Ahmed is asking, can I get a visa for New Zealand? Well, you definitely can. There are plenty of options. If you watch some of our other videos, you'll be able to see what are the different options for you. Again, there is a big requirement that we need to be licensed advisors to talk about visas, and we are not. So for this reason, you will need to watch the one video we did about it, and also direct your questions to Immigration New Zealand, which is immigration.govt.nz. Nihal is asking about the Hamilton. Hamilton is a great little town. It's much cheaper to live in than Auckland. It's very close to the town of Raglan, which I really like. It's a surf spot. It's really awesome. So Hamilton is really cool to live in. It's a decent sized city as well, so you'll be able to find a job easily if you do need a job. Sagas says that 2 months he has been applied for the working holiday visa on the webpage and it still says pending. Is it normal? It is not. It should take 2 weeks to get your visa or something like that. So you may want to contact Immigration New Zealand to ask further questions. You
definitely want to give them a call and make sure that you have your application number and all that sort of ready to go. And usually that's the way to get immigration to speed things up a bit.
So one of the things is working holiday visa are fast to process. They take about 2 weeks usually to process. Any other visa, like student visas and everything like that, they take months to process. But working holiday visa are quite fast. So if you haven't heard from them, you need to kind of poke the bear a little bit. All right, so that is pretty much it for the live chat. If you guys have any questions, just go for it. Ask them on the live chat. We're here to help you plan your trip in New Zealand. In the meantime, well, you guys sent us plenty of questions, so let's go through that.
Shall I
go to the next one?
do it today? I don't think I said any of the questions last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Stealing all the limelight. Okay, so I hope I don't screw this up now after all that. Okay, so there we go. Dupre Dassel on YouTube asked, hey, recently tramped the Milford track and felt that it was a little overhyped. What are your favorite great walks, and can you rank them by fun, awesomeness, loneliness, difficulty, and landscapes? Just to rank them would help. And what are your other multi-day hikes that you like? Cheers.
Cheers. All right. So let's talk about. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. No, am I? I don't know. I did sneeze. Ooh, that was weird.
You can predict the future.
All right. With that out of the way.
Yeah.
All right. So great walks. So talking about the different great walks around the country. I mean, we've done that so many times. There's so many videos about the great walk that we've made. So I think that if you want to know our opinion on each of the great walk, you can definitely watch our other videos. But I think that this question is mostly asking, well, listen, I feel that the great walks are very popular. There's a lot of people, and it wasn't as like amazing that I was told with all those slow motion and drone shots and all those kind of things. So what we thought is that we give you like basically about like 5 of our favorite multi-day hike, which are not great walk, but which are definitely worth being much more hyped than great walk, even. And I dare I say, even more hyped than the Milford track.
Yeah.
So now, no pressure on us because, obviously we've done a lot of hikes.
Yeah.
And so we come up with this list. So this is the list of hikes that we think are even better than Milford track, but they're cheaper and with much less people.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Do you want to get started?
Yeah.
Or I can get started.
Oh.
Okay, my favorite one.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about this one.
You're keen.
All right, so there is a track called the Inland Track in the Abel Tasman National Park. So in the Abel Tasman National Park, almost everybody does the coastal track, which is, well,
one of the great walks. Yeah.
It is a stunning walk, with beautiful golden beaches and all those kind of things. But the inland tracks give you such a unique experience. You go in middle of this beautiful, super lush native bush with more bird than you can think of. It's absolutely crazy. The chaotic noise of birds that you have around you. It's absolutely amazing. There's some really unique plant life as well. The landscape are very unique, and the fact that it's so close to these great walks make it first quite easy to access, but second, it gives you this really good feel of having done one of those New Zealand jewels. The Abel Tasman National Park is absolutely amazing. Now, this walk is about 3 days, and the best thing about it is that usually on great walk, you pay quite a lot of money for your huts. But during this, the inland track on the Abel Tasman Park, the huts are only $5. It is so cheap. It's cheaper than staying in your hostel, and you discover amazing landscape. I mean, I think it's it's absolutely amazing. Now, through the track, you're gonna be able to find even some like plants that you can eat, like horopito. If you want to know more about that, you can check out our eco adventure tour that we've done in Abel Tasman. There's a video about that. So there's so much to discover in that track. I mean, you can see my excitement. I just love it so much. But one of the things that I love the most about that track as well, and it's very silly, is that you are in the bush for most of the time. And the Abel Tasman National Park gets really hot. Really, really, really hot in summer. And the sun is absolutely relentless in New Zealand. You hear us talk about that all the time. But during the inland track, you are mostly within the shrubberies. So that means that you're in the shade, and sometimes it's actually quite, it's cool, and that is very nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first one that we have for you is the inland track. I'm sorry, I do really like it.
And did you say how many days that was?
Yeah, 2-3 days.
2-3 days. Okay, so another really awesome multi-day hike that you can do, which isn't a great walk, so it means that it is a lot quieter and cheaper, is the Aotea track, which is on Great Barrier Island, and that is just a short flight or a long boat ride away from Auckland City. So yeah, considering it is quite close to, like, obviously New Zealand's most populated area, this island is a complete contrast to the city. So the Aotea track is 2 to 3 days long, and the huts along the way are actually really they're actually really nice. They're quite new. They're comfortable, because there are some huts around New Zealand which, you know, they're a little bit old and you can feel it, but these ones are all really nice huts, and they only cost $15 per night. So compare that to a Great Walk. It's like that's pittance, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, the really cool thing about the Aotea track is you get some awesome views across the islands as you get onto some high mountain ridges. You also get a good amount of forest walks as well. You also get to see quite a lot of different wildlife. There are some birds on the Great Barrier Island which you actually can't find anywhere else in New Zealand. There's also different like lizards and skinks, which I think is like the first place in New Zealand I actually did see wildlife like that in the wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a really awesome hike, and although it's a little bit of a mission to get to, because obviously you will need to get a flight or take one of the ferries, it's definitely worth it once you get there, and you can actually spend quite a lot of time on Great Barrier Island, and that would be a complete off the beaten track destination to go to in New Zealand. So that's definitely worth considering. Shall I move on to the next one while you're fiddling around?
I'm trying to make it work.
Okay, so another really awesome multi-day hike you couldn't be doing is actually around the Cape Reinga area and 90 Mile Beach, which is at the very northern tip of New Zealand on the top of the North Island. And this is called the Te Paki Coastal Track. And this is a really awesome walk because it's so cheap, because they have quite a lot of campsites on the way that are free. And also there is an $8 campsite as well. So you won't be spending much on accommodation. So this sort of track takes you along really stunning coastal scenery. It goes along 90 Mile Beach, which is that huge stretch of sand. So it's very different to other multi-day hikes that you'll find around New Zealand. And again, it's not bombarded with tourists. There'll be the odd bus that goes by, because there's some bus tours that go up Cape Reinga and stuff like that, but that will feel like about 5 minutes compared to the whole 3 to 4 days that the track takes to complete. So yeah, that's the Te Paki Coastal Trail. That's another really awesome option, and they are actually that track is actually that good that the Department of Conservation are considering making it a Great Walk. It is in the shortlist for that, so get to it before it becomes
maybe the Great Walk 11. You know, you never really know. All right, cool. So the next one I want to mention is the Southern Circuit on Stewart Island. Now, Stewart Island is New Zealand's third island. It's all the way at the bottom of the South Island. And yeah, so it is an amazing place. So about 80% of the whole island is actually a national park. So there is literally just the town of Auburn, and the rest is a complete wild bush. It's really amazing. And so obviously on Stewart Island there is a Raikura track, which is a New Zealand Great Walk, and it goes roughly around the northern part of the island. It's very rough, obviously. Check out the Raikura track if you want to do it. Don't say, Robin.
He told me to roughly go north, so I'm going that way.
So I think not that way, but that's fine.
Oh,
anyway,
come on! No one watching can tell that, Robin. You didn't need to point that out.
All right. So the southern circuit basically takes you to a place around Stewart Island that's very little people go to. The huts are actually really nice, and you get different kind of level of huts. So some huts are going to be about $24 a night, and some huts are only going to be $5 a night. You can really get lost there. The recommended time is 4 to 6 days, but we've met some people that spend 10 days literally hiking around there, which is quite amazing. Now over there, it's almost guaranteed you're going to be seeing a kiwi bird in the wild. There are that many birds over there. Because it is so remote, so little people go there. But if you get there, the wildlife is going to be absolutely amazing. So between amazing sand dunes and those kind of landscape, to arid kind of bush, to then mud wetlands, to then native thick Manuka and Kanuka forest. It's amazing the variety of stuff that you're going to be seeing. It's so cool. So we have actually a 2-part video about this track where we actually did fly above it, then landed on the beach. Yeah, we landed the plane on the beach. I mean, we didn't land the plane, but our plane landed on the beach. And then we hiked our way back, and then we took a boat back. It's an amazing place to visit. It's absolutely fantastic.
And it really feels like you're alone in the world when you're down there. And the stargazing as well is really amazing because you're absolutely isolated. You're as south as you can get really in New Zealand, except for going to some of the subantarctic islands, which actually Stewart Island is classed as a subantarctic island. So
it is?
Yeah, it actually is. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's another really, really great, great walk, which is not a great walk.
Yeah. Okay, so one that I can think of is the Round the Mountain track.
Tongariro.
Yeah.
The most famous hike in New Zealand.
So in the Tongariro National Park, everyone knows it for the Tongariro Crossing. They probably know about the Great Walk there, which is the Tongariro Circuit. But there is another really awesome multi-day hike, which actually goes around Mount Ruapehu. And this walk is 4 to 6 days long, so it's pretty long, but this goes basically around the largest volcano in New Zealand, and you get like a real mix of landscapes. So on one side of Mount Ruapehu, it's all real volcanic. There's loads of lava fields you can see. And then on the other side of the mountain, it's completely like covered in forest. There's waterfalls you can see. There's beautiful lakes. There's a real like wealth of scenery to see. And this is actually a hike that we've done just one little bit of. We haven't done the whole track, but we do have a video where we did part of that. So we'll make sure that we link that in the description when we do the rebroadcast of this video. I love saying that. I say that so many times. But yeah, anyway, so we have done part of it, and that's definitely one that we would love to do the whole of the walk. And again, compare that to the Tongariro Circuit, which is super busy, pretty expensive. The huts there at the Round the Mountain track, they're usually about $15. So, I mean, that's much more affordable.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is basically our picks basically for our hike, which we think deserve much more hype than what they currently have, and should replace the Milford track on your list.
Yeah.
Tell us if you agree with that in the comment below. If you do have any follow-up questions, in the comment below. If you do want to learn more about all those tracks, link in the description below. Basically, scroll down a little bit and everything's happened there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the live chat right here. Rugby Lover 81 is asking if she should take some sunscreen. Definitely. Laura's from the UK. She literally,
I get burnt all the time.
So if in New Zealand in August, she gets burned like all the time. So definitely sunscreen.
It's always worth packing.
Yeah. If you're not sure, just put some. Good morning, Oibaf. I hope you're doing all right. Pixel Channel, welcome on board. I think that's the first time you're joining us, or first time you're saying hi. So welcome. We're glad to have you on board. Oibaf is asking, you can see the only desert in New Zealand on the first part.
The Rangipo Desert, so that's pretty cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
We even have the right name. Y2J is asking, is there a flight that go above Tongariro?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there are some flight that goes around Tongariro, and if you do want to do one which is like decently affordable, you can contact InFlight, which are based in Taupo. And they will be able to fly you around there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then Pixel Channel says, I want to study in Auckland and set up a business in New Zealand. Can you name any undeveloped niche there? What? If we thought there was some undeveloped niche there, we
would be seeking them right now.
I'd be swimming in Monet if I could assess undeveloped niche, my friend. I think it's something that you have to, you cannot have to, work on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, this is a New Zealand travel channel, not a business channel. So we haven't really delved into all the undeveloped niches as of yet. But good luck in your venture.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If you can, you know what? I never seen any push bikes. So if you actually make pushback tour around New Zealand, well, yeah, you know what? You want to develop niche, and I'm working in tourism. So I tell you, I want someone that push my bike around the country. Here you go. I want to sit in the baby stroller and just like,
Okay. Do we know any immigrants from Ukraine? Yes, we do. There are some immigrants from Ukraine in New Zealand.
Yes, we do actually. Yeah. We do know some. All right, cool. All right, so next question come from Facebook, and on Facebook we had Joey that asked, "Hi Robin and Laura, I love your site, and I would like to ask a question about my trip." Well, that's the right place to do.
Yeah.
Is it worth to visit the Bay of Islands? I only have 1 month in New Zealand and want to see it all, but if I do Northland, I have to cut 2 or 3 days from other part of my itinerary. I think that's a really good question. That's so Northland is actually this. Can you just show them up quickly what is Northland? So Northland is actually this part of New Zealand right here. So most people arrive here in Auckland. It's obviously easier to go around here and come back there. Going up there is always taking you, well, exactly as Joey said, 2 or 3 days. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting to have this.
Yeah,
question.
a lot of people do wonder whether it is worth actually spending the extra 3 days to go back up and then back down again if they are on real limited time. So,
all right. So what I think we can do right here to answer your question, Joey, I think that what we like the way we can approach that is we're going to tell you all about the Bay of Islands, like the amazing thing that there is to see the Bay of Islands, and we tell you kind of where can you find something similar to that around New Zealand.
Yeah.
So the first thing that comes to mind with the Bay of Islands, it's an amazing place. It's 144 beautiful islands that you can cruise around, and it's absolutely fantastic. But it's a massive bay full of islands. Because, well, that's a Bay of Islands.
Yeah,
it's
makes
pretty
sense.
simple.
Yeah.
So now the other places in New Zealand where you can find kind of similar kind of feel are the Marlborough Sound, which is basically the entry to the South Island, where you're going to be taking a ferry from Wellington going down to Picton. The entry to the South Island, it's called the Marlborough Sound. There is a lot of different islands. There is some bird sanctuaries as well that you can visit, and you can do it all from the town of Picton, which no matter how you cut it, you've got to visit when traveling around New Zealand, because that's the only place the ferry will land. So this is going to be very, like, you basically have to travel by plane around New Zealand if you're not passing through Picton. So one of the places where you can do that is in the Marlborough Sound. One of the places where you can get a lot of beautiful beach and you know, kind of secluded kind of bays and everything like that will be the Abel Tasman National Park, which has plenty of those. But again, beach and secluded bays are plentiful all around New Zealand, from Coromandel to the East Cape to Marlborough Sound to Abel Tasman and all of that. So secluded beach, there are plenty.
Yeah.
Next. Dolphin swimming.
Yeah, so the Bay of Islands is also known for its dolphin swimming. There's a couple of boat tours out there which can take you to see dolphins, and if there are any around and actually stay with the boat, then you do have the opportunity to get in the water with them. But the Bay of Islands is not the only place in New Zealand where you can swim with dolphins. Probably the most famous place to go and swim with dolphins is actually in the South Island in a town called Kaikoura. And there they have dolphin swimming trips to swim with different types of dolphins to what you would find in the Bay of Islands, but it's still dolphins at the end of the day. So you get to swim with dusky dolphins, which are known for traveling in super large pods and being super acrobatic. So that's really definitely, like, if you're really want to do dolphin swimming, then Kaikoura on the South Island is definitely worth considering. Alternatively, you could go to Akaroa, which is a peninsula just off Christchurch. It takes maybe about an hour between Christchurch to get to Kaikoura, and there they have loads of different wildlife tours, including dolphin swimming. So on the South Island, you could definitely do some dolphin swimming there as well. And I just thought of another one on the North Island. If you maybe aren't going to the South Island for whatever reason, if you are in the North Island and you travel to Tauranga, they have dolphin swimming there, mainly in the summer months because they only operate when it's the busy season. But yeah, you can go swimming with dolphins in Tauranga as well.
Yeah. All right, so the next thing that is very famous to do, very popular to do, on the Bay of Islands is to take a tour all the way to Cape Reinga. So that includes driving on 90 Mile Beach, which is a very long beach which your bus is going to drive on, and then arriving all the way on the top of New Zealand and seeing the meeting of the sea and the ocean. It's a fantastic trip. It's absolutely amazing. So it's a very unique, obviously there's some very unique forest, and the whole tour yourself is very unique. And if we were to pick a place which would be rather similar to that, that would be Cape Farewell. So this is around the Abel Tasman area. It's on top of the South Island, basically. And you can see, well, the top of the South Island. There's a massive it's called a sandspit, right?
Yeah.
There's a massive sandspit. There's only one company that can go there, but your bus is going to drive on the beach as well. You're going to see a beautiful gannet colony. Is it? No, you're going to see some amazing birds. Sorry.
A colony of other kinds.
Yeah. You're going to see a colony of, I can't remember what of the birds. You're going to see an amazing lighthouse. You're going to be seeing some marine mammals very often along the way. It's an amazing trip. It's very unique. And the same thing, you will be able to see a video about this very trip on in the description below. We put a link so that you can compare both tours, but they're really, really unique and very different as well. So that's another kind of, that would be they're not really the same, but that would be a good way to compare them.
Yeah. So another thing that the Northland region or the Bay of Islands is really famous for are its kauri forests. And kauri are the largest types of trees in New Zealand. And when you go into a kauri forest, it is absolutely amazing. Like, you will be in awe of how big these trees are. And yeah, it's definitely a good reason to go to the Bay of Islands. But you actually can find these forests elsewhere in New Zealand. Admittedly, they aren't as grand as in the Northland region, but you can still find some really awesome ones, especially in the Coromandel. So this is the peninsula, which is about an hour or 2 hours drive away from Auckland. And they do have a few kauri forests around there where there's some walks up to some kauri groves, which is basically like a sort of little collection of, well, I say little, it's a big collection of kauri trees. And there's also some tours you can go on to like learn more about those types of forests. So yeah, so if you want to see kauri forests, the Coromandel would probably be the next best place to go.
All right, to wrap that up, let's be honest, the Bay of Islands is rather unique. And in that one place, you can do all those activities that we talked about.
Yeah.
So that makes it a very unique and super convenient place to get all those amazing, like, stunning activities, fixed. It's so cool. But if you do have to cut it and you have the flexibility in your itinerary to add those similar activities, that may be your way for you, Joey, to be able to cut the Bay of Islands and be able to spend 2 or 3 more days around the rest of New Zealand. I hope that was very helpful to you. If you are on the fence about the Bay of Islands, well, this helped you either make your mind and say, yes, I definitely have to go to the Bay of Islands, or that may just help you be like, you know what, I can fit those 2 activities that I wanted to do somewhere else, and then and that way I have a bit more, breathing room on my itinerary. Because I know that sometimes when you have, only like 3 weeks itineraries, it can be like really stressful.
Yeah.
And there can be quite a lot to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you do have any questions of your own, or if you do have any follow-up questions, put them in the comment below. We're here to help. Put them in the live chat if you're watching that live. And yeah, we're here to help.
Absolutely. And smash the like button if you found any of these answers useful so far, or just if you feel like clicking something, how about click the like button?
Yeah, what about a clicky-clicky-loo?
Okay.
All right, so going back to live chat right now, there's a lot of discussions going on right here. All right, what is happening right? Oh yeah.
So Pixels was asking, is it windy in Wellington?
Windiest city in the world.
Yeah,
so yes,
it's very windy in Wellington.
Very windy. Oibaf is talking about swimming with dolphins when they have their babies next to it. So you should never ever do that. If you see dolphins with their puppy, make sure to swim away. Pups, yeah, with their pups.
Is it pups? Calves.
Calves. Okay.
Calves.
If you see dolphins with their calves, you need to swim away from them, because calves need to eat at very regular interval. And if the mother is distracted by playing with you, she may miss feeding, and this is really not helping the dolphin population.
So usually on a dolphin tour, they don't allow you to swim with the dolphins if they see that there's a calf in the pot. So so usually.
So please, next time, don't do it. Swim away. I know it's really tempting and it's really cute and everything, but you are actually endangering the very cute dolphin that you're currently swimming with. So please just don't do that. Don't do that. Just keep that in mind. Wow. I'm so sorry. He's asking, how are you? Well, I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. What about you?
Oh,
good.
Amazing.
And so you ask, what is the best time of the day to do the Roy's Peak track? He's going in mid-April. So the earlier in the morning, the better, because obviously it's beautiful for a sunrise. So, leave at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you get some really good views.
Yeah.
And you've got to know that Roy's Peak is literally the most hype and the most overrated hike in the whole country. We say that all the time. You see those beautiful pictures that you see on Instagram with just one person on the track with that. Yeah, there is queues of people, literally lineup of people behind that, and you run there, someone take the pictures, and you come back. You've got to know that, right?
And also the thing about that track is that view at the end is basically what everyone goes there for. That's the nice part of the track. The rest of the track is going across farmland. It's not as exciting. So if you're looking for, there's better walks to do for an all-round experience, but the Rob Roy Peak is kind of like, yeah, you walk all that way just for this one view, which I mean, if that's what you want, then go for it. But just so your expectations are right.
If you do the Royce picture, you do it for one picture, that is it.
Yeah.
And then you do, like everybody that goes and does the Royce picture, do it for social media street cred. That is it. Which
everyone else has already done. So if you do your picture and put it on Instagram, it'll just get lost. Like everyone's done it for Instagram.
Yeah. But anyway. Cool. Andre is saying that he sold his camera in the UK and the person was actually from New Zealand. That's the world is pretty small.
Oh, wow.
But there is a lot of Kiwis actually living in the UK. So yeah. Stowskin is asking about finding a job as a software engineer in Christchurch. No idea.
Yeah.
We're not in tune with the software engineering job market.
I mean, there's usually job shortages on a lot of things in New Zealand. Yeah. So I mean, at a guess, probably there will be some opportunity. It's worth exploring.
Yeah, it is definitely. Look into it. But honestly, this is not the right. You know that we're here for traveling. We're here for like fun and giggles here. We're not necessarily here
like
for
the fun parts of traveling in New Zealand.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next question of the day, which actually relates to work again. So on YouTube, we had Dengshri Pawaskar, which says, hey, can you make a video from coming to Tauranga, like the part-time job, cost of living, backpackers, etc.? Tauranga. All right.
Everybody wants to go to Tauranga.
Yeah, Tauranga is a popular town at the moment. It's quite crazy. All right. In Tauranga, job-wise, plenty of jobs available. Retail job, hospitality job, picking jobs. There is plenty.
Yeah.
Now, when we say retail job, it includes quite a lot of different jobs. It includes everything from like being a sales attendant, being a cashier, being a stock filler, filling up the shelf in the supermarket, but also warehouse, delivery, all those kind of work, packing, order processing. There is a lot that goes into retail. When we say retail, there is a wide range of job. And every time you see one store person in a store, you know there is at least 4 people working behind the scene that you don't see.
Yeah.
So that makes it for plenty of jobs available in Rotorua, especially in the retail industry. Now, in the hospitality industry, Tauranga, we're talking about Tauranga here.
Yeah.
In the hospitality industry, Tauranga is actually quite a hot spot. It has heaps, a lot of cafe, restaurant, hotel, because it's such a popular area. It's one of the best spots for Kiwis to go on holidays. They all go there, especially in the area called the Mount Maunganui or the Mount. They all go for summer holiday there and all those kind of things. So plenty of job for that. But another fun fact about Tauranga is that it's one of the towns where there is also the cruise ship coming in New Zealand. So because they are cruise ship, when they are cruise day, they need a lot more workers. So for this reason, there is plenty of jobs in the hospital industry available. And finally, about the picking industry, well, Tauranga is in the golden kiwi country.
Yes.
This is where all the kiwi fruits are grown, or even most of the stone fruits are grown as well. So there is plenty of jobs available in that, and there is plenty of hostels that actually even place you in jobs, which is quite amazing.
And there's also quite a shortage of pickers every single year to do these jobs, which are temporary. So that's ideal if you're doing a working holiday or just something temporary if you're maybe a student. Those jobs are very easy to get. And even perhaps if your English isn't up to scratch and you want to, do something a little bit more behind the scenes rather than working with customers, then picking is actually a really awesome job to do. And it's not only picking, there's also lots of factories which, process the kiwi fruit around the Tauranga area. So there's a huge industry surrounding just kiwi fruit alone. So there's a lot of job opportunities around Tauranga for that.
Now, for the cost of living, do you want to talk about the cost of living?
I can just do a quick few things and then you take it away after. But cost of living, you are in a city. Obviously, Tauranga is quite a large city. And in New Zealand, large cities do have quite a high cost of living when it comes to rent. So if you are wanting to save a bit of money on that, the best thing to do is either do a house share or a flat share, which is basically renting a room with other people. Alternatively, there are quite a lot of hostels which take in long-termers, and they also help you find a job. I'm thinking of hostels like South Pacific Lodge, which is based in Mount Maunganui. There's also the Harbour what's it called? The
Harborside Backpackers.
Harborside Backpackers, which is also based pretty much in the city centre of Tauranga. And those guys can actually help you find a job, and they set you up in one of their bunk rooms, and that's another way to save money, basically on cost of living in terms of rent.
A lot of people.
Yeah, and meet a lot of people as well. And the people that you meet in these hostels, you might be able to get together and maybe go and do a house share or something. Like, that's a really good place to start, is with the working hostels in Tauranga. And for more information on working hostels, we'll make sure we'll do a link to an article which tells you all about those hostels in the description below. So yeah, but also for the cost of like food and drinks, supermarkets, there is an advantage, obviously, living in a city, is that there's usually a lot more choice. So there's usually a lot more competition, and the prices are usually a little better than elsewhere in New Zealand. For instance, if you're staying in a small town in New Zealand, you only have one supermarket to choose from. That's usually when the prices of fruit and, fruit, vegetables and all the food and all that sort of stuff, that's usually when it's a lot higher. But in the cities, this is where you can save a bit of money on food, especially if you're working in the kiwi fruit industry, because you can always come home with some kiwi.
Nice. All right, cool. So the good thing about Tauranga, though, and the thing that we like the most about Tauranga, is that it's a great hub for exploring the Northern End. So yes, you're probably going to be studying, working in Tauranga, but you're in New Zealand, you're in a different country, you want to explore, right? And Tauranga is placed almost, can we show where Tauranga is?
Yeah,
quickly?
sure.
So Tauranga is around here, right? So if you guys don't see it, it's just right there. So it's a great place to be able to explore most of the North Island within a bit of a drive. Because if you were to go from Tauranga to about here, which would be Taupo, that would be only about 2-hour drive. Not even, actually, a bit less than 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
So how cool is that? That means that you can explore most of the North Island very easily, especially if you have your own transport. But if you don't, there are amazing bus connections with Intercity, for example, or even a new company called Skip Bus.
Yeah.
So this will be your best option for basing yourself and starting to work. It's one of the best options. So I do really like Tauranga for that. Plus the fact that there are so many working hostels. I know you touched a little bit on it, but it is probably the one place in the country which has the most working hostel. So there is really no excuse. If you want to work, you go to Tauranga, you check into one of those hostels. Again, they don't charge you anything. You just pay for your night. And trust us, we've compared the price many times because we did that a lot. They're very much on par with the rest of the hostel around the country. The price is not higher. So they will find you a job, they'll organize transportation and all of that. So it makes it very easy. So Tauranga, cost of living wise, living lifestyle wise and everything is really awesome. Yeah. And there are some suburbs which are a bit more posh than others, obviously. So if you live in Mount Maunganui, for example, everything is a little bit more expensive than if you live in, the town itself. But it's such a great place. And even like the greater area, if you think even about a place like Te Puke, which is, it's not Tauranga at all, it's another town, but it's still nearby. That's the kiwi fruit capital of New Zealand, so there's plenty of jobs here as well.
And there's lots of beaches nearby, so if you're into that whole beach lifestyle thing, then that whole area, that whole coast around there has loads of different beaches to choose from.
Exactly. You want to grab your bottle of wine and go watch the sunset on the beach, you can definitely do that every evening. And honestly, if you stay there for the entire season, you could almost watch the sunset on a different beach every day, which would be quite a cool challenge. I think I'd take that challenge.
I think it would be quite tiring after a while.
Yeah. All right. So that's basically our take for Tauranga. If you're considering Tauranga for work or for play, maybe, think again and be like, Tauranga is actually the right thing.
Yeah.
A really good place to go there. All right. If you do have any follow-up questions, in the comment below. If you do want to learn more about Tauranga, in the description below, we put a few links, and we're going to be moving on back to the live chat. We have a really cool question, actually, from Steve Param. I'm sorry, guys. I destroy all your names today. Actually, I destroy all your names every day. Anyway, Steve on YouTube, which is going to, we're on the first name basis, Steve and I, right? We made Steve, right? So Steve on YouTube asked, discuss renting and camping an SUV like a RAV4 compared to a camper van. Is it better to get a self-contained van as far as saving on theme camping spots? All right. So first thing first, Steve, a Toyota RAV4 is probably the most popular kind of four-wheel drive you will be able to rent in New Zealand. Almost every company has one. However, I just want to point out that it is not necessary to have a four-wheel drive in New Zealand. We haven't found it any use every time we had a 4-wheel drive, so we actually stick to non-4-wheel drive. The one time it might be of use is if you want to drive on the beach, let's say you want to do 90-mile beach or any of those places like that. However, you have to know that usually you are actually forbidden to do that when renting any kind of vehicle in New Zealand. It is part of your contract, so try to avoid doing these kind of things. So try to avoid wasting your money on a 4-wheel drive when traveling in New Zealand. We recommend renting a car, which will save you already a lot of money on the cost of the rent, as well as on petrol. Now, as far as comparing with camper van, do you want to take a bit of that?
Well, yeah, so obviously in a camper van, like you mentioned, a self-contained camper van, that is the option to use freedom camping sites. That
will save you. That will save you quite a lot of money, obviously, to use freedom camping site. Now, the thing with camper van is that you have to know that quite regularly you have to go to an actual proper campsite, like a holiday park, because you need to empty your grey waste, you need to refill your water waste, and you need to repower all your batteries because the battery don't power themselves.
Yeah.
Even if you have solar panels on top of the camper van, it doesn't refill everything as much as you're going to be using them. That's for sure. So you've got to keep in mind that yes, there are some freedom campsites around. First, there are not as many as you think, and second, you will still need to go to a holiday park regularly. So if you consider the cost right here, I'd say that it would be a little bit cheaper to be in a camper van, yes, but not like a half price.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to have like literally no accommodation costs for the whole time. That's one you need to keep in mind, right?
And consider the price of actually renting a camper van is a lot higher than renting a car.
Exactly.
So you maybe you can offset that price by getting a car and just staying in some cheap accommodation like backpackers, or even just traveling around with a tent. And if you want to get that sort of campsite experience, you can just travel in a car, take a tent out and do that as well. It's kind of really weighing up the costs between the two.
I'm also seeing cost of like just the everyday kind of life and time and stuff. So you travel with a car, right, and you stay in a hostel. You have a full kitchen that you can use. You can cook whatever you want, and usually you have a decent bed in which you can sleep and you get well rested, right? The kind of physical kind of cost and traveling camper van, again, I use that in a really broad term, right? Is that, well, you're going to be cooking really crappy food because honestly, like, it's not fun to cook in a camper van. Trust us, we've done that for you. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And the beds in camper vans are, they're not that great either. So you've got to keep that in mind that, it will, make it like as further as you go with your trip, the bit more like kind of grindy it's going to feel, right? So there is a thought right here to keep in mind as well. Now, if you travel with the car versus if you travel with the camper van, you can have a much, much lower gas consumption. And almost everybody forgets that. When you look at comparing your prices, you compare the price of your accommodation plus the price of your car rent, and then you compare the price of your camper van and the price of the campsite. Then you do your math and you sort it. You forget that you're going to spend thousands on petrol, and thousands with an S on petrol with the camper van, maybe 1,000 without the S on petrol with the car. So you've got to keep that in mind, the amount of money that it will take to kind of maintain this thing. Also, you need to consider all your add-ons. You're going to want to take an insurance for your car or for your camper van. First up, if you hire a car, very often your credit card company may include an insurance right here, which may make it like completely useless for you to even use the insurance that is offered by the rental company, which boom, $20 to $30 a day saved. That is pretty good. If you do hire a camper van with a credit card, usually that's not covered. So you already have to buy the insurance. Now, if you decide to buy the insurance, either way, you decide to buy the insurance with your car or buy it with your camper van, it's going to be much higher with the camper van because of the cost of the camper van. So you've got to keep that in mind as well. So considering all those things right here, we have made the choice, and you've seen that if you did watch New Zealand's Biggest Gap Year, we started the camper van, then you broke down, and the first thought that we had was we're buying a car. And that's definitely what we did. We were like, you know what? The idea of the camper van was absolutely fantastic, but we found that because there is so much availability in accommodation, so much competition accommodation, the prices of accommodation in New Zealand are quite low, and that wasn't worth the extra cost. So that's basically what we decided. And we did find that for us, it was the best ratio. I am not 100% sure the prices are huge difference. Sometimes the car and hostels may be slightly higher than the camper van. Sometimes the camper van is slightly higher. So it fluctuates that way, but we did find the flexibility much better. Because also, Laura didn't like driving the camper van. Do you want to talk about the ease of drive?
Oh, yeah, of course. So obviously camper vans do come in different sizes. You can get huge motorhomes, or you can even get those little camper cars, which is just basically like a people carrier with a bed in the back. So yeah, there's obviously the larger camper vans are a lot different to drive than a car because you have so much space that you need to be aware of. You also need to be aware of your height as well, which is often like something that, is easy to forget, especially with a lot of, there's a lot of verandas and stuff like that, which are these overhangs coming out of shop fronts. So if you're parking on the side of the street, you need to be aware of like not crashing into anything that could be overhanging, or, there's a lot in terms of driving. Obviously motorhomes are a lot more of a challenge. And also, you can't go as fast in a motorhome. You can't swing around corners. You have to be really careful and really take it easy.
Are you planning to drive around? What?
Well, people, they have like, when it's got like a high clearance, like it catches wind as well. So, you can't be like driving as fast as you would.
I per se don't find it fun driving camper van.
Pretty much.
All right, Steve, I hope that this answers your question. There is a lot to take in consideration. I will also take in consideration the season that you're traveling, because price dropped down a lot in winter. So we do have a lot of articles actually covering the cost of traveling in New Zealand by car, the cost of traveling in New Zealand by camper van, and all those kind of things. And we'll put you some link in the description below to help you make your decision. But if you do have any follow-up questions in the live chat, in the comments, we're here to help. And send that to us, guys. Send it to us. So now it comes to close to the conclusion of these videos, and we're going to have to address the thing that we did not want to address today. So we are shooting this video on the 17th of March. It is a couple of days after the Christchurch attack that just happened here in New Zealand. Now, initially, Laura and I wanted to completely ignore the event and go on with our everyday life, but we did receive a lot of messages on Facebook, Instagram, by email, and even here on YouTube in the live chat asking us questions about that, and especially if it makes New Zealand less safe than it is. So let us address a few of the points first. First up, Laura and I are very white. Look her pale skin. So we cannot address anything to do with racism. We have never been subject to racism, and we will never experience them. So for us to speak about the persecution that those minorities are encountering would be absolutely out of place. So we won't be doing that. The only thing that we can say is that we do not support racism. We are not racist. And we are welcoming anyone of any color, and we have friends of every color, and it's very important to us because we're traveler, and the traveler community is literally a rainbow. It's cliche, but it is that, right? So that's the first thing that I want to address. We are not going to address anything else about this thing. Now, as per terrorist attacks, we have obviously never been attacked. We have never lived through that, so we can't speak of the symptom or the scare that can result to that. We've never been in a city that have been attacked either. This is the closest that we've been to any terrorist event in our life, and we are not even in the same island. So this is not our place either to speak of that. We are not a politician trying to score some cheap rating scores, and this is not our place to speak of that. The one thing that we can talk about is the perception of travelers and foreigners in New Zealand when traveling, right? So New Zealand is a very welcoming country. Hell, Laura and I decided to make it our home. We did immigrate, and we decided to make New Zealand our new home. So in some ways, we are immigrants to New Zealand as well, and we do want to say that we stand with the people that have been victimized by those morons. Now, does it make New Zealand less safe for traveler? No. The thing is, New Zealand has one of the lowest rates of homicide in the world. This event obviously is a tragedy, but it's a one-off event. It literally never happened in New Zealand. That's the worst thing that ever happened to New Zealand, to our knowledge. And this is extremely unlikely that it will happen again. It's an extremely isolated incident made by people which just are, absolutely insane. Those people have been caught. They are going to be put in jail. They will be punished, and they will not have the opportunity to act again. So it does not make New Zealand any less safe for you to travel in. Now, the reason that we decided, Laura and I, not to address this at the beginning of our videos, or actually the reason why we did not want to address it at all, is because addressing and giving our time to those people is exactly what they're looking for. This is what terrorism is. You scare people and you grab their attention. So in our views, we wish that the media and everybody else would stop addressing this subject and keep on with their everyday life. The one way to win against terrorism is to keep on going with your everyday life, and that's what we decided to do. Obviously, for the families of the victim, for people that have lost someone in the attack, there is a whole grieving process. But again, this is not one of us, so it's not our place to actually take the attention from those people. The only people that should actually speak of this situation are those very people that have lost family members, lovers, friends, and acquaintances to this event. It's not of people that just happen to be in the same country, and we feel that it is not okay for us to even speak of that. All right, so when we woke up the next day, the sun was still there, life was still going on, and we were about to give you some travel advice for New Zealand, and so we decided to do exactly that. So is New Zealand any less safe right now? No, it's a very welcoming country. It's a country that Laura has traveled by herself very often as a solo female traveler, and has never felt threatened. Except when I'm driving, but yeah. So, and it's a country that I've traveled a lot by myself. I go out late at night and all those kind of things. And despite what sensationalist headlines are saying, New Zealand is very safe. Remember, the jobs of media is to catch your attention, and there is no better way to gather sheep than to get a dog barking. So that's what they do. Don't be afraid by the dog. Go pet it and you'll be fine.
Or maybe don't go pet it.
Yeah, don't go pet it. If it's barking, don't go pet it. But you know what I mean. Like seriously, don't be too afraid. Still travel. Keep on going with your travels. There is plenty to discover in New Zealand. Keep on going with your everyday life. Yeah, that's just our message, and that's what we just didn't want to address it. Anyway, let's just go back to the live chat right now. Just to broke the mood.
It looks like we possibly had some microphone problems, so we do apologize. Let us know if that's still okay. I mean, we are coming to the end of our session now, so we'll try and get that ready for next week so that we don't have any microphone problems. But yeah, and Charlie wanted us to say hi. So hi, Charlie. And can we talk to him about Mount Taupo? There is not a mountain called Mount Taupo. There is a lake called Lake Taupo, so and that is surrounded by many mountains. So yeah, maybe do a little bit of research about which mountain you mean, and you could come back next week and tell us and ask us to talk about that mountain.
Yeah, just tell us which mountain you want to talk about.
Yeah.
The audio still sounds like crap. Has it been sounding like crap the whole video? Like, we need to know that, guys. You need to tell us as soon as it starts.
Yeah.
Or this just changed recently. Anyway, all right. Hi, Jan. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. We are about to wrap up the video, but it was really awesome.
Really good to see you.
All right, so thank you very much for joining us for this video, guys. We're sorry the audio wasn't great. We actually just started the new computer, so maybe I did something wrong with the microphone or something like that. So hopefully we're actually trying to work to make the quality of those videos better. But yeah, so thank you very much for joining us for other New Zealand travel questions. We hope that you're going to have a blast on the roads, and we're going to see you next week at 8 a.m. New Zealand time, which should be approximately, and tell us if we're wrong, by the way. Just make sure that you actually put it somewhere in the comment, even if you rewatch this video. Are those time right? Because we always try to do some crazy math to try to make them right. Anyway, USA 2 p.m. EST, 11 a.m. PST, that's on Saturday. UK or France is around between 7 and 8 p.m. or somewhere around this area. Make sure you check that out because there is daylight saving and everything. And again, it's on Saturday. And India is 12:30 a.m. But again, the time that you know is sure and absolutely 100% correct. We are here at 8 a.m. every single Sunday, New Zealand time. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Lovely to have you on board.
See you next Sunday.